Hola, bonjour, ciao, magandang umaga. Now, just by listening to me speak in multiple languages, I would technically qualify as a polyglot. And if you look at the textbook definition of that, it says as such, someone who can speak multiple languages. And you can even go to the extent of a hyper polyglot, being able to juggle 10 or 11 or more languages, which is very impressive, by the way. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're going to be focusing on a concept called polyglot programming. Now, in your architectures, when you're designing your applications, you have to kind of make a bunch of architectural decisions on what kind of programming language you're going to do, how you're going to connect the pieces of your architecture together. Now, this concept really is very applicable as you move into a lot of cloud-native architectures where things are separated and denormalized. So what I want to cover today is two concepts that really go through these particular things as to why you need to really consider about bringing this out into your architectures. Now, the first is, let's say you're in your actual organization or your server room or your data center. It could be as simple as having different types of OSs available for you to use. That could be with Windows or Linux or even Kubernetes. Being able to allow these to be platforms that you can actually leverage to publish applications to. But let's take it a step deeper. Most architectures that I like to say, when you migrate on to the cloud native, you're going to have front end, which I'll abbreviate as FE. You'll have back end, and you'll have some type of middleware that's usually going to be connecting the two together. Or they can kind of go from either or, front end to back end. They can kind of crisscross and go from there. So one of the use cases that I can say is what polyglot programming allows you to do is to leverage particular types of programming, particular types of technology patterns for their core competency of what they can offer. Now, what would the default thing to do? I am a big Node.js fan. So for me, if I were to start up, let's say, having a front-end web application and a microservice is going to talk to my MySQL DB, I may also leverage Express to also function as an API that I can call that talks to my database. And this can be the web front end. Now, naturally, I could say, yes, that would be great. I could use Node.js for all these pieces, both those services, and just talk to MySQL. As my architecture expanded, let's say I wanted to add in mobile. Now, when I want to communicate with this, I could still leverage a MySQL database, or I could go ahead and add a Mongo database. Now, if you remember from some of the previous videos, that's the difference between traditional SQL and NoSQL, all right? It's being able to provide JSON documents to store, and I could still leverage MySQL to still be my system of record there that I can use more warehousing of my data. Now, if I wanted to kind of break this up, I could go very micro. Let's say I wanted to eventually upgrade this to a SPA application with a framework like Angular or React. I could still leverage Express to serve out those static files, or I could use a different language. For instance, I could use Golang to provide the shell for serving out those static files for my SPA application. Why? Because Golang is very excellent in this particular use case for its startup time and being able to serve out responses very, very quickly. And that's all judging by comparing the two on what the context is. Now, I still may want to leave Express for the back end because I can leverage other ARM technologies like Prisma that will allow me an easy interface to connect to MySQL and kind of facilitate that layer there as well. So one example you can get is getting very granular into the type of decisions you can make, really sitting back and analyze. And when I start a new project, building a platform like this is some decisions that I would like to make, from there. And then it allows me as well to leverage other patterns here. If I wanted to inject Kafka in the in here as well, where I could run my data directly into Kafka and then into my database. Again, now we're at the point where you can really have a lot of fun with the architecture that you want to kind of use. Now, let's take from another level here. That's being very micro into the particular weeds on individual decisions you want to make. But let's say if I want to do the same project, I may step back and say, let me analyze this a little more. For that same project, I may say, I know I'm going to have web. I know I want to do mobile. I know I want to have databases. Okay. Now, one way I could probably make that decision to say I'm going to have other microservices to connect to my database, but I want to take this decision here. It may be as simple as a decision to say I want to settle on a technology that I do want to use. So just because you're into polyglot programming doesn't mean you always are mandated to choose different types of technology for different pieces. All right. I can leverage the same piece for this because I know that by leveraging React, it has facilities to give me the SPA, that type of customer experience that I want, the responsiveness, as well as has with React Native, I have the same capability to be able to build cross-platform applications for iOS and Android. So two different sides of the spectrum, which I think is very useful in kind of working as you now want to build your applications. So I wanted to do this video to really say, before you do your next project, take a look at polyglot programming. Whether it's the macro decisions you can make about what technologies to use, or even the micro decisions, this should definitely be something that you take a look at and put into practice.